Okay, so we are going to look at the Unit 7 Test 1 review, talking about some of our positive and negative numbers, ordering rational numbers, things like that. So number one, it says the four numbers are plotted on a number line. Which is the correct ordering on a number line from left to right? Meaning, if we're going from left to right, we're going from least to greatest. So this will make a number line. That would make the most sense. And if I notice, all of these numbers are fractions. And if I notice 2, 4, 3, and 12, they could come up with a common denominator. 2, 3, 4, and 12, we could have common denominators of 12. So if I change all of them to 12s, that might make it a little bit easier to compare them. So if I went from 3 to 12, I multiplied by 4, so I would have -8 for this first one. Well, 5 12 stays the same because it didn't change. 4 to 12, we multiplied by 3, so I would have -9 for that one. And then finally, the -1/2, I multiplied by 6, so -6 out of 12 would be -1/2. Well, they're all less than between 1 and 0, looks like. And really, my only positive one is my 5 12ths. So that would be this one right here of 5 12ths. Okay, so that's my only positive one, and so it has to be my largest one. So taking a look, I could actually eliminate that one because of that. Okay, all right, so now let's see if we can figure out the smallest one all the way to the right. Well, remember, it's going to be the closest to -1 on this side, which means that on the positive side, it would be the closest to 1, closest to -1. So that should be my -9 twelfths. And -8 twelfths would be right next to it. And the half, or -6 twelfths, would be right there. So if I go from left to right, I've got -9 twelfths, then -8 twelfths, and then -6 twelfths. Well, remember, my 9 twelfths was -3 fourths. So the smallest one is going to be the -3 fourths. So we went in order from there. And -2 thirds was the -8 twelfths. And -6 over 2 was our -1/2. Okay, that one we actually just had to find our largest and smallest, and that one worked too. So Christy is trying to understand what absolute value means, and Joe tells her is the opposite of a number, like the absolute value of 10 is -10, and Samantha disagrees and says the absolute value of 10 is 10. Who do you agree with? Defend your answer. Well, the definition of absolute value is the distance from 0 on the number line. So the distance from 0 on the number line. So if I have a number line and here's my 0 and here's my 10, well, how far away is 10 from 0 on the number line? Well, it's 10. So the absolute value of 10 is going to be 10. So we actually agree with Samantha instead of Joe, because Joe says it's just the opposite. Well, the opposite would be on the other side. Okay, so we agree with Samantha. Okay, and it's because of the distance from 0. What would the value of this be? Well, we have this negative sign here, and then the absolute value of -7. Well, the absolute value of -7 is just going to be 7, because -7 is 7 units away from 0 on the number line. And then because there's a negative out front here, we just apply that because that's the opposite of it. So our answer is going to end up being -7. Okay, absolute value first, which is going to be 7, and then apply that negative. All right, page 2, so number 4. Given that x equals -5, write the letter of each expression at its approximate placement on the number line. So I have these weird things here. I have x, negative x, oh, absolute value. So I'm going to simplify some of these first. So x, we were told up here that x equals negative 5. So basically x is just negative 5. So I could just write that in. Well, this is the negative of x. Well, if x is negative 5, the opposite of that, or the negative of that, would be a positive 5. Absolute value of negative 2.5, well, negative 2.5 would be here, but it's the absolute value. So we want to know how far away from 0 is it? Well, it's just 2.5 away. D is just negative 2. There's nothing to do there, so I'll just write it in so we know. E is an absolute value of 8. Well, how far away is 8 from 0 on the number line? Well, it's 8. And then F is the absolute value of negative 1. Well, negative 1 is 1 unit away. So that's what that one would be. So now I've got them all figured out, and it's just a matter of placing them on here. So at negative 5, I'm going to put A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this would be my A. B is at positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would be B. C is at 2.5, so 1, 2.5 there, and that's going to be C. D is at negative 2, so I'm going to go to the left, 1, 2, and have D. E is at 8. Well, here's 5, 6, 7. Uh-oh, we don't have quite enough, so we'll make that here, and we'll draw that, and that's going to be E. And then F is at 1, which is here. So if we put them in order, now it's really easy. It didn't ask us to, but it would be really easy. We would have A, and then D, F, C, B, and E in order from least to greatest. All right. Which temperature is warmer, negative 12 degrees Celsius or negative 32 degrees Celsius? So if I think about my number line, I'm in the negative, so I'm over here. And if I'm traveling this way, okay, I've got negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on. I'm going to hit negative 12 first, and then I have to keep traveling for quite a while before I hit the negative 32 mark, right? So which one is warmer? Well, negative 12 is closer to 0, which is still cold, but it's still going to be warmer. So the warmer temperature would be the negative 12 degrees Celsius. We could even say negative 12 is greater than negative 32. Yes, we could. And then number 6, write a list that shows the temperatures in order from coldest to warmest in degrees Fahrenheit. So we have negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees, negative 21, and then 0. Well, here's the good part. I can use my number line here. I can figure out where 0 is, and 4 is going to be over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's going to be my largest one because the other ones are negative. They're going to be over here on this side. So 4 is my largest, okay, because that'd be the warmest. Still pretty cold, but, and then 0. And then we've got to kind of discuss between negative 15 and negative 21. So the one that would be farthest to the left would be negative 21, because then we keep walking or going this direction, we'd hit negative 15, and then we keep going all the way up to 0. So negative 21 is the coldest, then negative 15, and then 0, and then 4. All right, moving on to number 7. Cindy is tracking her weight loss over a 6-month time period, and she created a table to document the information. So in January, she lost, it says she's down 14 pounds, so negative 14. February, she lost 6 pounds, so minus 6. March, 3 pounds, that's a plus, so we gained weight, Cindy did. April, negative 2. May is 0, and June is negative 4. And then she wants to order the months from greatest to least in the weight change. Which list of the months match this order? Now keep in mind, the greatest amount of weight lost is going to be actually our negative 14, right? So that's our greatest amount lost. And then -6 would be our next, and then -4, and then -3, and then 0 because she didn't gain or lose any, but then she gained, so her amount lost was not there. So it would be, whoops, that wouldn't be a 0, that would be 5, and then 6. So if we ordered our months, it would be January, February, June, April, May, and then March. Okay, now it's about time for a smiley face there to encourage Cindy to keep going. So make sure you put a smiley face next to for Cindy there. All right. Oh, look, there was even an order thing there. So I did it, and then it's a multiple choice. So we just have to find the one that goes with that, and it looks like it's going to be B. All right, good deal. All right, moving on to number 8. Place the following points on a number line. Okay, so I'm seeing some fractions going on. I'm going to need a number line. All right. Well, look, this is a fraction that I think I can simplify because really this is just 18 divided by 3. And it's negative, so it's going to be negative to end up with. Well, 18 divided by 3 is just -6. Well, that's pretty easy. 9 divided by 2. Okay, well, 2 doesn't go in there evenly, but it goes in there 4 times. And it would be, because if I take that and take 9 divided by 2, 4 times, there'd be 1 left over. So 4.5, or I could put 4.5. Okay, so that one's pretty good. Same thing here, 11 divided by 2. It's going to go in 5 times, and there's 1 left over. So this is going to be 5.5. But we have to remember we have a negative out front, so we need a negative here. So -5.5. And then 12 divided by 3 is just 4. So that one's pretty easy. So now we can put our points on there. I've got to go down to -6, -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0. And then I got to go up to 4.5. So I guess I need to extend this a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm going to put point A at -6. So here's -6, and here's my A. Point B is at -5.5. So that's between -5 and -6. So we're going to put B right here. C is at a positive 4.5. So we're going to go over here, and it's between 4 and 5. So here would be C. And then D is at 4 right here. So we could actually put them in order too, from least to greatest would be A, B, D, and then C. All right, let's see if we can finish up real quick with these two. Actually, we are going to do a part 2. Okay, so watch for part 2. Okay, here we go.